That we ain't night riders. That we ain't night riders.
Welcome to the Knight Riders Squadcast live stream. You are now rolling with the Knight Riders.
Again, back in the building. All right. Salute. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Knight Riders Squadcast. And I am your gracious host, the Dark Knight. Some people know me as Counselor Mr. G. I'm gonna mellow that out real quick. All right. Salute to everybody in the building right now. A sower seed is in the building earlier. Yeah, he was like, my immediate question is, why is everyone hosting Candace's photo with her mouth open like that? You know, that to me, I didn't know other people were doing it. I just saw that picture and I said, you know what? With that dumbfounded look, I said, I'm just going to go with that. And I think some other people may have posted it as well. I didn't notice anyone else with it. So I guess that's just the photo of the night. So, and like I told him, I said, it's yeah, D in the building also. I said it's because it's so fitting, with the occasion and all of that. Yeah. And speaking of which, D in the building. Yeah, D, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give you a mod because I didn't get a chance to do it last time. And I'm going to do that throughout the course of this show. So if you're, active in the comments as you normally are, I'm going to, take one of your comments. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get you that moderation. But anyway, once again, we are in the building and we are going to have some fun tonight. And yeah, D, no problem, man. You be over here, showing love. You be in the building early. So, and I did tell you last time I was going to go ahead and do that for you. So I'm going to, go ahead and knock that out tonight. But yeah, so we're in the building. I got some people in there. Salute to you guys. And once again, Israel Young Lion in the building. Nice to see you over here, dear sir. Salute to you as well. We're going to have some fun tonight, bros, because, as you have heard, Candace Owens has been booted. Hence the title of the broadcast and the trusty thumbnail with the big boot right there. And let me be very clear, right? I'm going to take some interesting turns with this one because I don't have a dog in this fight. And what I mean by that is I don't necessarily dislike Candace Owens. I don't really know that much about her with regard to her particular stances. I have picked up some of her clips as we're gonna play tonight, some of the things she said. I'm not one of these guys who is on either part of the aisle, such as whether far right conservative or far left liberal. I don't give a damn about either side. I'm not like Gerald Salente and also Black Ram says, I'm like a political atheist. I could give a damn about any of that. I look at the truth of the issue. So if there's something that happens to be a conservative point of view that is the right point of view at that particular moment, I may agree with it. If it's something that may be considered liberal, I don't tend to lean on the liberal side because, especially now with these whack jobs that are out there today with all this craziness. But depending, I think that people should have fair housing and stuff like that. I mean, I guess that's a liberal mentality, right? I don't like seeing homeless people. And those of you who are familiar with my story, I worked in the financial industry. I did pretty well, and then I was able to do something of a early retirement, and I decided to do a little community work. I guess that's more of a liberal thing, but I believe in people working and achieving the things that they want to achieve. I don't believe in people getting handouts. I believe in people getting hand ups. I don't believe in making a bunch of excuses. I do believe there is a such thing as systemic racism, but I don't think that it's something that can prevent you if you have a work hard mentality, you believe in the most high, you try to live a moral life. There may be obstacles, but you can kind of make it. And so like I said, I don't really fit into a lot of these specific this identity politics and all this garbage. So I say that to say that this particular situation with Candace, it's very, to me, much a microcosm of a larger issue that I'm going to talk about, and that is her being a black female and some of the stances that she's taken. I think it shows a lot of hypocrisy, right? And a lot of the things that I'm going to point out tonight are going to expose, some of the contradictions in her particular stances. And this, to me, is not just about her; it's about a lot of women of her ilk who tend to, because I believe at one point she came out as more of a liberal, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think there's even a case where she sued college, and in fact, I do have an article on that. You know what? What I'm talking about it, because I did a bit of research before this, as I like to do. I don't like to go into situations completely oblivious. So I'm going to put this article up about how she actually sued because of believe it or not, racism. In spite of her saying that black people need to stop talking about racism, but she didn't say that when she was getting this money. But I'm going to go ahead and put this article on the screen for you guys. Let me go ahead and pull this up and share the screen. It's pretty amazing how a lot of these people can come out on one particular side, and then when their personal interest can be, if it can benefit them, then they're taking one stance, but then on the other side, when it's going to benefit them, then they will jump on the other side of the aisle as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and show you guys this article that I came across about this particular lawsuit that she won, that was based on some racism that she claims does not exist. So this was from the Associated Press, a very well-known publication, and it says Owens, "America is not a racist country" comment sets off Twitter firestorm. And it says Candace, and this was back in March 5th, 2019. And it says Candace Owens has drawn sharp criticism for proclaiming America is not a racist country during a conservative convention Friday, after once winning a Connecticut lawsuit as a victim of racism. So, I mean, that on the face of it is just ridiculous, right? She gets into a room full of good white folk, because that damn crowd was probably 99% black. In fact, she was probably the only black person in there. And all of a sudden, there's no racism, but she came up, off of a lawsuit against racism. And it says Owens, his family received a $37,500 settlement from the Stamford. So that's not Stanford, it's Stamford, Stamford Board of Education, after she accused a group of teens of leaving her threatening messages and racist messages, threatening and racist messages while she was a high school student in 2007. So it's a very funny that, not that this happened to her, but somehow this was able to happen in a non-racist country. I just find that amazing. And she's and Owens, who regularly appears on Fox News and travels to speak at college campuses, made the controversial statements Friday at the Conservative Political Action Conference, sponsored each year by the American Conservative Union to promote a conservative agenda. And she says, stop selling us our own oppression," said Owens, a Stanford High School grad. "Stop taking away our confidence by telling us that we can't because of racism, because of slavery. I have never been a slave in this country." Okay, so because she has never been a slave, therefore there's no racism. And Owens' comment drew sharp criticism on Twitter, where users cited her Stanford lawsuit. The 2007 um, incident turned scandal when the boy charged in the case was with several other teens, including the then 14-year-old son of former mayor and governor Daniel P. Malloy. Says Jamel Hill, a sports journalist for the Atlantic, who was ousted from ESPN's Sports Center last year after making social media comments critical of President Donald Trump and of NFL owner Jerry Jones, was among those who lashed out at Owens on Friday. And they said, quote, "I guess she sued and won a lawsuit after receiving racist tweets. Then she must have been in some other country," Hill said. Yeah. So to me, that is one of the examples of how you can get people who are only speaking towards their own financial benefit. They're not looking at the truth of the matter. And again, even if you're someone who takes the position that you believe that people should focus on, making better decisions, doing all of the things that they need to do to get ahead and all of that, and not make those excuses, you have to acknowledge the fact that there are systemic barriers. Now, whether or not you make those an obstacle that you can't overcome, that's up to you. But to be, to get in front of crowds of people like this, like she's done, and then claim it doesn't exist, is where the hypocrisy comes in. And to me, that's where a lot of the backlash that she receives comes from. Because, obviously, if you're trying to cater to a group of people who don't want to accept the facts and the truth, then that shows that you basically don't have a spine if you can't speak truth to power. But that was what happened back then. So let's fast forward and get this other article about her ouster from the Daily Wire. So we're going to get a little bit of that. And she said, Candace Owens, this is from Rolling Stone, is out at Daily Wire after months of railing against Jewish people. Now, this is what's very interesting, because obviously she's biting the hand that feeds her, because this guy Shapiro, I guess, was taking heat from his side of the aisle as she was saying certain things, and they were like, his constituency was wondering why he was not checking her. So there was a lot of pressure on him as to why he was allowing her to say some of the things that she was saying. But the article says that the far right commentator had been clashing with founder Ben Shapiro over her endorsement of anti-Semitic, quote. I mean, we can go into that, how that's overused, but that's a whole nother discussion. But anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Far right influencer Candace Owens is no longer with the Daily Wire after 3 years of working as a commentator for the network, the company announced on Friday. Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their relationship. In other words, they kicked her out. Daily Wire co-founder and CEO Jeremy Boring announced on X, formerly known as Twitter, and I still don't understand why Elon Musk changed the name. I mean, that's like the most ridiculous thing. Now, I think people give him too much credit for being this brilliant guy. I can go into that, but that's a whole nother subject. I mean, the whole brand of Twitter itself, and, I used to use it. That's why I kind of stopped. It's just, but, brand recognition like that, why would you change it to X? But anyway, that's, I don't want to go on a tangent on that. On Friday morning, Owens also confirmed on X that she would no longer be working with the Daily Wire, writing, quote, "The rumors are true. I am finally free." Okay, so free from what? Because according to you, you're never a slave. So if you're free, that means that you were under some type of condition, that you were kind of in a bondage, right? So she's making it seem like, she was in a situation that she couldn't get out of. And so now she's, quote, free. Before redirecting her followers to her website, adding there will be many announcements in the weeks to come. In a separate tweet, she linked to her YouTube channel, telling her followers that she would be resuming posting content on there after a brief hiatus. Okay, great. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start showing some clips of some of the things this woman has said. And on the surface, I could agree with some of the things she actually has said. I don't have a problem with some of her particular stances, and I'm going to give you some examples of this. But what we're going to do is dissect, how we do over here, and we're going to look at why there has been such a backlash to some of her commentary, because it does kind of contradict, and that's kind of the things that I kind of pointed out, with these particular articles. But now we're going to get into a couple of videos, and I want you guys to take a look at this and kind of let me know what you think about it. So let me find the first one here. But yeah, D, if you're still in the building, let me know, because I'm going to go ahead and see if I can mod you up while I get these videos planned. Let me see which one I'm going to play first, because I had some loaded up. All right, D. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do that. I'm going to play one of these videos. Now, this one right here is a video about her talking about masculinity, right? And over here, we're a big advocate of masculinity, right? We're well, we're very much anti-feminism, and we're very pro-masculinity, very pro-patriarchy, all of those good things over here. So she said some pretty interesting things on that subject, and I'm going to play one clip here, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So let me go ahead and load that one.
Wrong to be a man, that it's wrong to stand up straight, right? That you should, I don't know, hunch over and say sorry all the time. Don't hold doors for women, right? That's a new thing that you're learning. I'm just like a man. I can open my own door. Thank you. Okay, you can, but why would you want to if someone's opening it for you, right? You can. So proud of you for being able to do that. Let them open the door, right? Let them pay for a meal for you. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with the incredible symbiotic way in which men and women come together. Our personalities are different. It is important for men to remember that our society needs you. There is nothing wrong with masculinity, but there is a problem when there is a deficit of masculinity.
Okay, so I don't have a problem with what she said right there, because she's absolutely right. And I believe that her taking that stance is necessary when it comes to certain things. That D. So you're saying, so D got the shrugged shoulders. So what's your problem, D? Do you have an issue with anything that she said? I'll let you chime in before I say what I say. So it's like D is maybe taking an issue with something. So I'm gonna let you express your feelings on that, D. Yeah, but what do you say? He said, I don't listen to her often. Yeah, me either. So pretty much a lot of what I know about her, I got in passing, right? And because, like I said, I don't really have a dog in the fight with regard to the fact that she was fired. I'm not jumping for joy like some people or anything like that. But what I will say is that she does kind of represent a larger issue, which is there are women such as her, and I kind of liken her to the swirlers, and that's kind of the angle I'm going to take. He says, but recently she said things that I agree with for the most part. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and yeah. So what the angle that I'm going to take with this particular situation is that she is kind of like the representative of like the swirler mentality, right? So if you look at these swirlers, they typically, because she actually is married to a white man, and again, okay, fine, if that's what she, if that's her preference, that's cool. But what they'll do is that they'll be in these particular relationships, just like the swirlers, and then they'll start dissing black men, right? And then they actually have this whole thing called a race play. and some of you guys may have heard of it, where a lot of black women, when they get into these relationships with these white men, what they do is start degrading themselves in their race. And you can, I mean, there's a lot of graphic stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? I can't even post it here because I started to try to post some of the stuff I was coming across, but I already got a strike before, so I'm not trying to, go too, crazy like I could. That's why I'm gonna have to start putting some of this stuff on the Patreon. But there's actual things that these women are doing where they're kind of allowing themselves to be treated like um, slaves, essentially, for the purpose of satisfying their counterparts' racist desires. And what they'll do is, even in their rhetoric, they'll say things that is automatically, or it's just openly false, but they know that that's going to cater to the ego of the men that they're with. For example, just like when she runs around talking about there's no racism, because she knows that that's what they want to hear, right? Even though she knows that there is racism, and she knows it so well that she knows it because she won a lawsuit because of it. Yeah, what did Israel Young Lion say? He said, he said they be he said they be stuffing them in dog cage. Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, most definitely. They be stuffing them in dog cages and worse. Yeah, because like I said, I was gonna go there. I'm gonna speak on some of that stuff, but I was about to go there in terms of posting some pictures, right? Because I got pictures of them. Literally, they have markers, like those permanent marker draw, like those black markers where you can mark on a whiteboard or something, where these women are sitting there with no clothes on, with the most degrading messages, like I'm the like she's a pet, or they're saying degrading things like I'm a nigger slave for my master, stuff, all kind of crazy stuff, right? And they'll let these men mark on their bodies these racist messages. And so when I see a woman like her, to me, that she's like um the kind of cleaned up version, right? Because she comes out into the public and she'll cater to all of these deep-seated racist tropes, and at the same time, she wants to come off like she's so willing and ready and able to quote give her quote people all of this good advice, but at the same time, she's totally ignoring the other side of the equation, which is the group that's actually causing some of this stuff. And again, I'm a firm believer that black people have to take responsibility as well, but let's tell the whole story, right? And what he said, they putting chokers on their neck. Oh yeah, bro, that is to me a telltale sign. And you know what else you can look for? A lot of those women who are wearing those bull rings, those septum rings that don't even look really attractive. Now, I'm not one of these guys that say a woman shouldn't have any piercings, because I actually think belly piercings are sexy. Or, obviously, if a woman has earrings, or even a nose ring, if it's on their nose, right? Not necessarily my preference, but okay, I can rock with that, if depending on how well it's if it looks hygienic and so forth, but whatever. But some of these women, they have these bull rings, right? And a lot of those women, if you notice, those are the swirlers, right? Those are those deep down dirty race play type broads who be into all this stuff that you're talking about. And like you said, they will have those chokers on as well, so you'll see that's another sign. And what do you say, D? You said like she's on our side. Yeah, that was the point I was making earlier. She'll come out with this stuff because she's trying to placate the people who she knows are going to criticize her when she comes saying this dumb shit. And so she'll throw some little things out there like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to help the community, and she'll throw out some stats, about followers' homes and all this type of stuff. At the same time, she doesn't want to deal with the systemic issues. And then what did you said, like them studs, right? Say like the stud in the nose. Yeah. So a lot of times, man, if you're looking at some of those women, they have that same type of mentality. And to me, like I said, she's kind of like an example of that. They have this very weird mentality where they'll sit up here and they just totally absolve that side of anything, right? They can never do no wrong, except for, and this what got her in trouble, when she has a particular stance, like on this Gaza situation. It's kind of weird because, you know, she's taking a position now where she's siding with the one that's being oppressed, but she don't do that when it comes to black people. In fact, there's uh, records of her talking about how black people actually benefited from slavery. And if you don't believe me, I'm gonna play her that. She actually has a clip out there, because not only did she say racism don't exist and that black people should pretty much stop talking about it, but she also was trying to say that somehow black people benefited from slavery. So yeah, what do you say, Israel Young Lion? He said captioning on their titties. I'm a white man's sport. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, I saw even worse than that. They were just outright calling themselves with the hard ER, and they're writing it all on their tits. They're writing it on their back. I'm telling you, dude, I was this close to posting some of them pictures, but I'm like, nah, this might be pushing it. You know, we're trying to grow the channel, and already, you know, like I said, we already been getting a little heat. So I'm gonna wait, but I'm gonna have to post that on the Patreon or something. But he said, what you say, D? So I didn't know she said that. Oh yeah, she did. In fact, I'm gonna prove it, bro. You know how we do over here? We don't just bring receipts; we bring tax returns. we bring it all. So I'm gonna, yeah. In fact, I'm gonna play that now, where she was talking about how black people actually benefited from slavery. So let me go ahead and get that. So like I said, man, that's the reason. And again, I gotta reiterate, I don't have a dog in the fight, other than the fact that I can't stand the hypocritical, the contradictions, and you know, just stand on whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? If you got an issue with something, just keep that same energy. Don't be going around one. If you're talking to one group, you're saying one thing, and you get to another group, you're saying another thing, and it contradicts. You know, just stand on business. And unfortunately, a lot of these people don't do that because they're just following the dollar. But yeah, but let me go ahead and get that clip real quick. Like I said, I don't just talk over here. I show the receipts also. So yeah, she outright said, and I'll just let you hear it in her own words. So let me get that loaded up. I'm gonna have to fast forward it.
Take on the recent.
All right, let me fast forward past their comments. So yeah, let's check this out real quick.
Brits invading Africa actually represents, and this is going to get me in trouble, but it was, if you look at how forward it brought the African colonies, it ended up being a net positive. Now, this is, of course, people.
You see that? She said it ended up being a net positive. So that means, oh, it may have been some bad things that happened, but oh, they ultimately benefited. How come she ain't saying that about what's going on in Gaza, right? I told you, D. So D is outraged. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, I agree, man. You know, that's some wild stuff to say, right? But there you go. But you notice she was willing to go to bat for what's going to the Gazans. She's not saying that there's a net positive for them, right? She ain't saying she ain't got that same type of mentality when it comes to them. But somehow with the Africans, oh, it was a net positive. But she ain't done. Let's continue.
It's going to get me in trouble because people somehow think that Africans were living happily ever after and things were great, and then the horrible British descended upon and murdered everybody, and the French suddenly murdered everybody, and that just isn't the truth. Obviously, the African nations had slavery, just like the.
Yeah, here we go with this whole thing. And again, it's just about telling the truth, right? You ain't got to be one of these pro-blackity blacks just to know the history, right? You ain't gotta, you don't have to be like that. All you gotta do is state the fact. Now, what was her point? She's saying, oh, well, they already had slavery. Well, guess what? It was nowhere near what the transatlantic slave trade was. They didn't have a transatlantic slave trade where they were ripping people from their children and doing all manner of abominable things to people. That's not how the African slave trade worked. And it wasn't really slavery. It was more like an indentured servitude where you may have warring tribes, but they would, you know, other tribes would marry into certain tribes and so forth, but it was by no means the same thing as the barbaric, unprecedented system that was introduced with regard to the transatlantic slave trade, as conducted by initially the Portuguese and the Spanish, and then later on the British and the Dutch and so forth. I mean, look at King Leopold by himself and what he did in Congo. I mean, he killed like 30 million people by himself. And not to mention what they did during the Berlin Conference and how they divided up Africa and all the colonialism and everything that happened. I mean, these are just facts. You know, like I said, you don't even have to be a pro-blackity black to even be knowing about this stuff. But it's funny how she can see what's going on over in Gaza right now and notice that, you know, she can be so outraged about that. But they did not, they're not suffering nowhere near about what historically what Africans have. So I just find that very funny. And he said, I hate that argument, very much a red herring. Yeah, exactly. It's a horrible argument. And she should be smart enough to know that that is a red herring. But if she does not accept that, then obviously she's just, as I said, pandering to her base, just like those women who mark their bodies up, calling themselves the N word and all of that. That's what she's doing. She's symbolically that woman who's slave playing, right? What did D say? I think D is outraged. He couldn't he can't believe she said that. What did he say? He said so many now presently are working hard in order to minimize what happened. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't help when you have a woman of her stature who pretty much is playing into that, right? And what he said, that shit is crazy. Yeah. So let's see what else she said. I think there may be a little bit more. If that wasn't enough, I think she goes on.
European nations had slavery.
Wow.
So it's an evil that was not started, did not begin in Europe, actually. It can actually be traced back to Muslim origins.
All right, can you?
Well, look at that. So what's so crazy is that that's not even the argument. It's like what Israel Young Lion just said. That's a red herring. No one said that Europeans started slavery. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the nature and the type of slavery. And again, this is just facts, right? There was nothing like the transatlantic slave trade prior to the European incursions in Africa. It just never happened. Yeah, you could talk about what was going on with the Muslim side. That was probably as bad, to be honest, but it was kind of simultaneous, right? And they were kind of both results of each other, because there were, you know, initial incursions with the Arabs in the East, and that kind of laid the groundwork for what would happen later in the West. But let's be clear that the argument is not whether or not Europeans or whoever, you know, started slavery. There was always servitude among people, but the nature and the brutality and the devastation and the impact, it wasn't even just about slavery. It was about resource stealing and all of these other things that came about in these systemic, because racism is just an offshoot of that. You know, that you just have to create a system in place to hold the people down that you basically stolen from and taking everything from. You have to kind of create a whole new social structure that puts them on the bottom to kind of justify what you did. So that's a whole nother thing. And just by the virtue of her acknowledging that this stuff has happened, then she's contradicting herself, because all of that racism is just an offshoot of those actual events that happen. So again, she's just a walking contradiction, and that's the problem I have in terms of just her stances. I'm not invested enough to, you know, be angry at her or to be happy that she lost her job. It's not that deep for me, but I do like to point out and dissect, you know, when people are pretty much contradicting themselves, and she's full of contradictions. But let's get a little bit more.
Pause it, please. I'm sorry. There's a lot here. There is a lot here.
This is Daily Stormer stuff, basically.
I mean, this is white supremacist talking points. That the if we could just bring it down really quick.
Yeah, where these females shouldn't speak. You know, I agree with that to a point, but I think that they should be. I think they should speak when they are under the tutelage and guidance of a proper man, right? I don't think women should be out here rogue, saying things unless they are under direct guidance and instruction of a righteous man, not just a man, because a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll get that position and they'll say, oh, well, men in general need to uh, control women or something like that. I think it has to be a certain caliber of men. I'm not one of these guys that just thinks that a man, just because he's a man, he's worthy of leading. No, he has to be a proper man with proper ethics, proper morals, and he has to have enough integrity and honor so that he can see his own faults and improve and all of that, as well as guide the female correctly. So I guess, on a surface level, agree with you. um, I think they should speak within a certain framework. They definitely shouldn't be out here by themselves running their mouth and doing all the stuff they're doing, because they always put their foot in their mouth, just like her, and they end up in this situation where she was basically not holding the same standard that she set. Because if you notice, if she would have kept the same standard for what's going on right now in Gaza that she kept for Negroes, then she would still have her job, because she wouldn't be saying the same thing. You notice it's inconsistent, because we're talking about two different groups that were both oppressed. We're talking about historical oppression of Africans versus current oppression of Palestinians, right? So if you notice, the position that she's taking with the African is that, oh, there's a net positive. They benefited. They need to, cherish the fact that it even happened to them, right? Well, on the other hand, why is she not saying the same thing about the Palestinians? How come they can't be happy that the Israelis are doing what they're doing? Why can't they get the net benefit and the net positive of whatever they might be doing to them? So it's so funny that, those are two contradictory things, right? So that's the problem. And and to your point, D, that's a female characteristic, and that's emotionalism, because somehow she's emotionally invested, because she can see in real time what's going on over in Gaza. So that's pulling her heartstrings. So now she can take a position that's counter her rational financial self-interest, to the point where she's speaking out, and that's why her ass has got the boot. But when it comes to the historic things that happened to Africans, which is far more devastating, that you don't think there were children that were dying back then. So she might be crying at night because of what's going on in Gaza. But what you think was happening back during the time of Leopold, for example, when they were cutting off children's hands because they could not get enough rubber? Yeah. Well, what about that? But in her mind, oh, that's a net positive. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, to some degree, yeah, they should keep their damn mouth shut unless they're under the direct tutelage of a proper man. But let's continue, because I do think that there's some other points I'm gonna show here. And like I said, man, this ain't personal, because I could give a damn about the left or the right, but it's just amazing the hypocrisy that goes on both sides. But um, I'm going to show a couple other clips of some things that she said that we might agree with. And then we're going to get into, I got a couple of videos about that little slave play thing. I'm not going to go hard the way I could go hard, like I said, because I got them pictures that, like Israel Young Lion was talking about. We show them women wearing the choke collars, on all fours, got their freaking massa behind them, writing all over their bodies, calling themselves the NIGG with the hard ER. We got all of that. So, but I'm gonna tickle the plate a little bit. I ain't gonna go full in, but I do got a couple clips that we're gonna look at to show how these women, they got that Candace Owens mentality, how they like to show out for their massa. But we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But I'm gonna show this clip of her speaking about let's see, the Black Lives Matter thing. Now, this was a point that I kind of agree with her on, and she kind of went into the money, with the BLM and all of that. So I'm going to play that.
About inflated an
She said
organization
that
that purported to be about Black Lives Mattering.
Yeah, okay, so Dee said it was said that Caucasians would cut off their breasts and make purses out of it. Yeah, dude, I have no doubt about that, Yeah, there's also a history of what they would also do that with the Native Americans. They would actually cut out their the private parts of the women and then stretch them over their horses and make saddles out of it. I'm not making this up, but yeah, it was the brutality was off the chain, and this is just historic fact, dude. I mean, you don't have to make this stuff up. The reality is far worse than probably what you can make up. So, we can pull out that history, but a lot of people like Candace don't want to deal with that. She'll be too concerned about Negroes today doing certain things, wearing their pants, which I totally hate to see Negroes walk around with their pants sagging or something like that. But let's be clear, there's no comparison to the historic brutality that the group that she always wants to defend has done. And these are just facts, you know what I'm saying? So that's just pretty much how crazy it is. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip. This is actually something that I think she said that I could agree with regard to that whole BLM thing and where that money went. So we're gonna play a little bit of that real quick.
Mattering. I went into the finances.
Yeah, what did you find?
What I found was that millions and millions of dollars are going to trans organizations.
What kind of organizations?
Quite literally trans organizations. Like, we focus on providing trans houses. One was, we are focused on building the first ever fully transgender district in San Francisco. We are focused on, they're all buying houses and building districts, I'll say that. It's a lot of real estate. We are focused on providing a oasis for transgendered people in Ohio, right? House of Gigi, House of Tulip, a transgender district. We are focused on sex workers, all sex workers. How does any of this go to furthering Black lives, right? We found that $30+ million went to the stock market. I thought this was about tearing down the institutions of white supremacy.
Yeah, so a couple of things she pointed out. Okay, I can rock with that because you all know that BLM was a scam, and initially there was a grassroots organization that had that name that was headed up by some actual street leaders who they basically executed. If you go and look, if you look deep into that situation, it's crazy. And then it was co-opted, and later these other guys came in, and like she said, it kind of went into the, the trans movement or whoever or LGBT. They kind of took it over, such as those broads who, got control over it and then just started taking the money. The ones that had bought like 3 or 4 houses or something crazy like that. But yeah, so she, for her to point that kind of stuff out is correct. But what did he say? He said, I think I read that in the Sex Imperative by Malaimu Baruti. Yeah. So were you talking about what you mentioned earlier about their breasts being turned to purses or something? Or which, again, I have no doubt about that, because there was incredible, devastating things that happened during that time. But he's saying some things that we can rock with. But okay, yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. But yeah, she's saying a few things that I don't have a problem with. But at the end of the day, the inconsistency is what got her booted. Because if she would have just kept that same mentality as it related to the Gazans or the Palestinians, then she would still have her job, right? Because that is essentially why she's gone. Because she should have had that same degree of callousness that she has when it comes to the African experience, and the fact that all of these devastating things have happened to Black people both on and outside the continent. So therefore, she even came to the conclusion that there was a net positive. But it's so funny that she cannot come to that same conclusion as it relates to the Palestinians, especially when she knows that her paymasters are of the Jewish faith. They are the ones that are pretty much paying her, and she's biting the hand that feeds her. But because of her emotionalism, and this ties into what you're basically saying right here, D, and I kind of I see your point right here. He said to females specifically, yeah, that's where because she's watching Al Jazeera or some of these live broadcasts, and she's looking at all these children and so forth. And so, because of her female emotionalism, she can't bring herself, in spite of her own financial interest, she can't muster the callousness that she can show when it comes to the African history, because that's just so long ago, and she don't get to see the mutilated children and all the devastation that happened back then. So she can kind of say, oh, well, there's a net positive to that. But when she's looking at the real time things that are going on now, she can't bring herself to do it. So therefore, there's a conflict. But in actuality, if you look at the logical conclusion, she should have that same type of mentality. Am I right or wrong? If she can look back on history and say that somehow there was a benefit to slavery and that racism don't exist and all this other stuff, and just sweep that under the rug like it never happened, she should be able to, in real time, look at what's going on in Palestine and say, yo, hey, nothing to see here, right? Hey, ultimately that may be some good that comes out of that, right? Because that's what her paymasters are banking on, because they say, hey, we got a live one here. Because if she can look at what's going on with what has happened to her own people and take a stance like that, then I'd be damned if she's going to say something against us when we're cutting her fucking check, and and we're the guys that she should be catering to. How dare she come out here talking this junk about what we're doing over there when she don't even stand up for what happened to her own people historically. So from their standpoint, hey, I can see why they would oust her, because they're like, wait a minute, we're paying you to say certain things against your own people. We ain't paying you to say stuff about us, right? So that's pretty much the pickle that she got herself in with that whole thing. But you know what we're gonna do now, y'all? I'm gonna go ahead and pivot a little bit, and I'm gonna bring out a few of those clips. Not all of them, because like I said, we might get shut down if I bring out what I actually got. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show you guys some clips of some of the, as we're talking about this little, they call it the race play, where these women, they let themselves get degraded, or they'll, okay, I'm gonna bring you back. You remember on Twitter when they had that little thing where these women were these swirlers, or in these relationships with the white guys, and they would put their white guys on camera. The white guys wasn't even aware of what they were doing. They would tell their boyfriend to grab their collar, and then they would film it on Twitter and show it like they were being roughed up by their white boyfriend. Yeah, I don't know if y'all remember that, but I got some clips of it. I'm gonna show you real quick. I got a little reel of this crazy to show you how sick these females are. And again, if that's what they want to do, they make it seem like black men have a problem with them just dating white men, like we're jealous or something. No, do you? Hey, if somebody wants you, hey, good, go for it if that's what you want to do. But don't be trying to throw it out here and then trying to blame black men for your choices, and certainly don't try to blame black men because you like to get whored out and slutted out and smutted out and treated like a bed wench, because that's what your guy is into. Or even when he's not even into it, you're trying to force it upon him, like a lot of these women do. Because there were even some white guys who came out and said they had to break up with their woman because she always wanted them to do degrading stuff to them, and it was so bad that even the white guy didn't want to do it. That's show you how sick some of these broads are. But I'm going to show you some clips real quick. And it's funny how we kind of going full circle. So we're going from Candace Owens to this whole race play, because that's essentially what she's doing on a massive scale. But I'm going to show you guys something. I want you to see what you think about this. This one is the play where they were on Twitter, and these black women who had these white boyfriends were tricking them to basically do racist, or maybe the guys were in on it. I don't know, but some of these guys look like they were surprised. But let me go ahead and get that queued up for you. Hold on one moment. Let me go ahead and find that file. Yeah, it's crazy though, man. I'm tempted to try to show some of them pictures though. I'm debating right now, but I guarantee you, once I do, they're gonna give us another strike. But yeah, let me play this one.
Massa. Big Massa. Big Massa.
Now I want you to pay attention to the fact that they got some song playing "Who You With," and then they put in massa, and they got them doing these degrading poses, right? But it looks like it's the woman's idea, right? And again, they might be in on it. Oh yeah, look what, yeah, exactly. They're ecstatic. He said, "Look how happy she looks." Yeah, exactly. They look and look, if they're gonna do this publicly, Israel Young Lion, what the hell you think they doing behind the scenes, bro? If they doing this kind of stuff out in the open like this, yo, it's got to be crazy behind the scenes. But anyway, let's play a little bit more.
Big Massa. Big Massa. Big Massa. Big Massa. Big Massa.
Yeah. So, I mean, what more do I need to say, yo? What more do I need to say? He said gaggers. Oh yeah, that's another one, right? I haven't heard that in a while, but I think back in the day, Tommy used to play clips of that. That's back when YouTube, I think before everybody would get the strikes. I think that's when I first heard about that. I think Tommy Sotomayor used to point that out, and it was crazy, bro. I was like, yo, and then them women, and what was so crazy is that a lot of at the same time they were going after people like Tommy. They're going after guys who were putting out content, just exposing certain things or revealing certain things, and they were going harder at them than the guys who were basically running that website, that Gagger's website. I didn't even know it was still out here, but it's amazing that site's been out for that long. And I think I heard Tommy talking about that back in 2012 or whatever. So if that site's still up, that's crazy, because they be doing all kind of degrading stuff. And so if they're worried about the image of black women, to me, that site was one of the worst. I couldn't even be on it long. I was like, this is disgusting. I was like, this right here ain't even, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a big porn connoisseur, but my goodness, I mean, I'm like, who can really get off on something like that? But them women was up in there, and then they didn't have no shortage of women signing up to be degraded like that, bro. So to me, that's yeah, exactly, D. It was crazy. So, and I'm not no prude type guy, I ain't ashamed of the human body, female body, and all that. Yo, it's not about that. It's just, to me, it was very sick. Uh, some of the stuff they was doing, and apparently still doing, because I haven't been on that site. I don't know, but I'm guessing that it's still out there. So, do any of you know if they still doing that? Because I haven't, I think the last time I actually looked at it was back when I was when Tommy used to point it out, and that was, like I said, around 2012, 13, somewhere up in there. So that ain't the type of place I frequent, but I would imagine that they're still out there doing that. And if they are, you know what I'm saying? It's like they got some nerve talking about, people like us who might be just bringing out truth, and they get all mad and look at, they get people like Obsidian, taken down and whatnot, but they'll have a site like that that's actually, still functioning, I would imagine. So what did you say? He said they allow them to do things to them that would never, yeah, that we never think of. Exactly. Yeah, you know what? That's a very good point, D. For all of the accusations that black men are so degrading to black women and all that, I find it very funny that you don't see black men creating sites where we're doing black women like that. I mean, I don't know. Because like I said, maybe they have something out there like that, but I've never seen it. And again, I'm not a big porn connoisseur. I don't go out there, watching it like that. But I've never heard of, because I would imagine if it was out there, then them women would have came out and pointed it out by now. He said, I don't know for certain, but I don't doubt it. Yeah, I bet it probably is something like that out there. And you said, he said getting a Israel online, and he said getting a, I can't make out what that symbol is. Oh yeah, getting a train. Okay, I got you. Yeah, getting a train ran through by the Klan. Yeah, I mean it's crazy, and especially when you think of the historic context of that, right? For all the talk they have about, black women being queens from history and all that, I'm like, okay, so you gonna let what you would call in the same breath a caveman do that to a queen? I mean, I'm just trying to make it make sense. That's all. I mean, since you are so much of a queen, why would you let a peasant, much less what you would call a caveman, do you like that? So it just seems kind of funny to me. It just seems kind of weird. He says, "My bad for the comment." We say, "Oh yeah, no, I got you. No, you can do that, bro. Because anything that if you can do code like that, so that we don't get a strike, that's cool." He said, "My bad, yeah." No. You can keep doing that. I had to take a closer look because the first one I didn't know what it was as a train. Yeah. So no, that's cool, and I agree. And to me though, yeah, and that's another thing. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I think besides the Gagger site, there was another one where the boy I saw, because I think Tommy showed this one too, because he knew where all those sites were. Because I mean he was more of a porn guy, so he would be bringing out stuff that I know I had never even heard of, and he showed one where there was a bunch of guys, white guys, they had on Confederate shirts, and it was this woman. It was like a picture where she was servicing those guys, and I'm like, yo, that's what they into. And again, let's be very clear. I'm not no prude. I'm into some kinky stuff too. I don't mind a little bit of, uh, because I'm a man. I'm masculine. I can go with some kind of hardcore stuff here and there, but not crazy. But it just seems to me like those women should have more self-respect than to allow themselves, from a historic standpoint, to be treated like that. And another part is you don't really see that on the other side, at least not that I'm aware of. I don't see where black men are allowing white women to do that. Now, I have heard of instances where it was a couple of black dudes who were getting married in a cotton field or something like that, and he was dressed like a slave, and the white woman was dressed like a Miss Ann or somebody, the plantation woman, some stupid stuff like that. But these were a few idiots, right? It wasn't like a whole website dedicated to it. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, right? I saw a couple instances where there were some black men who were like they were getting married to white women, and they were doing this whole slave play thing like that. So we ain't letting them off the hook either. But to be fair, I have seen that too. But certainly it has not been as extreme or as prevalent. And what did Israel Lions say? Yeah, he said women are sluts to me. Can't tell them apart um these days. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what it is, bro. I mean, at some point, you know what? See, back in the day, there was a distinction, right? You could tell the difference between a woman who was pretty much just a regular woman, right? And then the woman who was a woman of the night, who was out there selling that thing to the street. There was a difference. You could tell there was a distinguishable difference with regard to how they were behaving and how they dressed. Now there is no difference. There's no difference, bro. It's all the same. It's like a revolving door, right? And that's why, if you even look at how the dating has shifted, he said just thinking about the images is extremely vexing. Yeah, it's crazy, yo. Because like I said, I got some images that I'm this close to showing some of this stuff, bro. I'm telling you, it's crazy. These women literally got their bodies covered in markings about the most degrading racial epithets you want to think of, and they're letting themselves be exploited like that. And they actually have text. There's also this particular site that I saw, and this brother that I saw, he linked to it, and it showed text messages that these white guys are sending to their basically their little pet, right? And it's just they're saying all kind of degrading stuff to him, and they're just sitting up there taking it, right? He says he said even got Muslim hoes acting up with a whole hijab. Bro, that's another thing I've noticed as well. That yeah, I start seeing that too. So it's like, yo, because you can't even say, because before you could say that like Islam, it wasn't as bad as Christianity in terms of the debauchery that was allowed in there, but you're starting to see more of that seep in. Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm starting to notice that as well. You'll see more. I haven't like dug really deep into that to see if it's something like a gagger situation with that whole thing, but I've noticed just on YouTube, you'll see him twerking with a hijab. Even Black Ram, he showed a video of a woman. She had a very tight hijab on with a nice body. I think I wouldn't like the I liked the video that he posted because it was kind of classy the way it was done, but she had a very form-fitting hijab on, and I had to think about it. I was like, that really does not kind of fit the whole narrative of what they're supposed to do, because the whole idea, I thought, and I'm not into, I'm not Islamic, but at least the one thing that I could respect about their culture is that they were teaching the women to be modest, and that's the reason why they wore the hijab, was because it's not supposed to show their body, right? And so now I don't know where they're getting these form-fitting hijabs from that's showing all their little curves, and it was crazy. So yeah, I definitely have noticed that. And where you say he said had this um Palestinian chick be all nice to me at my old job. I was like, what the fuck? Palestinian chicks never mess with niggas before, not at least in my experience. Yeah, bro. You starting to see that more and more. And let me tell you something, man. One thing I've noticed just in, traveling and being around different people, it's a lot of women low key that really want to sample some black men that their cult, just because their traditional cultures may be against it. And I'm gonna tell you a little secret. A lot of those South Asian, like those Indian women, the stuff like that, that you would not think like black men because they have this caste system. A lot of them women will go, bro. A lot of them women, they be very much so into the brothers. And I was shocked to find that out, because I always thought that their particular culture, that they really didn't, they really weren't into black guys. But to my surprise, just from some of my interactions with them, they seem to be very much into black men, believe it or not. A lot of those women that come from those very strict cultures like that, a lot of them, and like you said with the Palestinian thing, yeah, I never heard of them really rocking with bros like that, but you're starting to see it more and more. And you know what, it may have kicked that off, man, was when Kardashian came out. Because when Kim Kardashian, because she has kind of that Middle Eastern look, and all she does is get ran through by bros. And I know it's a lot of women like her that have of that kind of Middle Eastern background. You'll start seeing them popping up and doing kind of those booty type model videos and all that stuff. And yeah, so it's a cultural shift for sure, man. Even some of the more quote conservative type cultures, a lot of them are getting more loose too. So it's crazy. So yeah, I can definitely see a change. There's been a disturbance in the force with even these more traditional type cultures. But as you are well aware, what's way down the road is what's going on in the West. There's no comparison, specifically America. America is like ground zero for whoredom in terms of what's going on with the community, and how bad the women are there. And so let me see. I think I got another clip as well on that note, where we're gonna show what these women be doing. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, because I got so man, I am this close to wanting to show some of them pictures, bro. But I'm gonna just try to toe the line a little bit. Let me see. This one right here is funny because this one kind of suggests, right, how slavish some of these women's mentality is. It's a very short one, but I want you to pay attention to what this woman is saying. Yeah, so let me go ahead and get that one, bro. He said, yeah, he said, yeah, keep the clips rolling in, fam. This is dope. Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. I didn't really get a chance to get as many as I wanted because, to be honest, man, if I was to put what I wanted to put on here, bro, I'd probably get shut down because I had some stuff I had to kind of censor myself because I'm like, man, I don't believe in holding back. So I want to hit you guys with the hardcore stuff, to be honest. That's what I want to do, but I know how YouTube is. And what did D say? He said, he said, when I was in college, one of my cats dealt with this Libyan female. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's kind of weird, man, because I remember back in the day, you really didn't hear that. You didn't hear about all these different cultures, whether it be even from East Africa and all these different places that had kind of a more Islamic or these more traditional cultures that didn't necessarily regard black men or blackness very highly, but you just seem to have this kind of rebellion almost where a lot of these women, they'll go. They're coming at bros, man. Because I've even had some experiences where, they be you just handling your business, they smiling at you, and and it's kind of crazy because you never really used to see that back in the day. But yeah, let me get this other clip, and I want you guys to look at this woman. And if you can't read the caption, I'm going to read what she said. It's kind of crazy what she's doing. And I'm going to show you how slavish a lot of these women are in their mentality. So I'm going to play this next clip for you real quick. Let me pull this one up. And just check this one now. Look at what she's saying in this particular video. Now, like I said, that was a short one, but did you guys catch that? If you didn't catch it, I'll play it again. Because I want you to pay attention to what that caption says. So let me know if you saw what she said in that, if you can read that caption. I'll play it again just in case, but I want you guys to pay attention to this. Yeah, so let me know I'm gonna let you guys tell me what you think about that clip, and if you could read what she said in that caption, then I'm gonna get my take on it. I'll give you guys a few moments, and while you're doing that, I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and I'm just gonna mod both of you guys up. Let me see if I can get D here. Okay, I'm gonna add as moderator. So I'm gonna mod you up too, Israel Young Lion. Go ahead and give you a mod as well. You made some good points. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys chime in on that real quick. Yeah, D got this wrench. You in the building, Israel Young Lion. You should see your wrench. No problem, bro. I appreciate you guys showing your feedback, because sometimes people just come over and ghost watch, but you guys are participating, so that's cool. But yeah, I want you guys to let me know. Okay, yeah, so D said he read it. Okay. And I think you did too. You said they love being concubines. Oh, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm gonna say something that I probably that I'm probably going to be the first one to have said it out here. I got to say this first, and then I'm going to get into this clip real quick. Okay, so what do you say? That's their preference. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to break down something that you guys probably never heard, right? Because of this comment, and I'm very happy because this was a point that I actually wanted to bring out before, right? And what Israel Young Israel Young Lion just said. He said they love being their concubines. Now, let me say something first that I have never heard anybody else say out here, right? And that is there's a distinction between a quote whore and a quote concubine. Now, let me be very clear. Even if you look at it from a biblical standpoint, concubines are acceptable, right? Let me show you the difference between a whore and a concubine. And again, that's why you guys got to tune in over here, because you're going to get breakdowns that, you got some great bros out there that break things down nice, but we go a little different over here. Here's the difference. A whore is when a woman is going around sleeping with a bunch of different guys and she's not under the control of a particular man. So if you have a woman who is, whether it's for money, she's getting paid to be a streetwalker or whatever, that's a whore. Or if she is pretty much just sleeping around with a bunch of guys, that's a whore. A concubine is actually a woman under the control of one man. It may not be his wife, but it's more like a mistress. Like, for example, if you have a man who already has a wife, right? And that's his quote side piece. She's not with another man. She's only dealing with that one man. She's a quote concubine, but she's not married to the man, but she is performing sexual favors for the guy. It may be in exchange for certain things. He might be giving her protection. She might, because she might be a widow or whatever, and she's under his tutelage, but she's only sleeping with that one man. Even though she's not his wife, she's not a whore. So that's what a concubine is. And a lot of times people get it twisted and they'll take the word concubine and they'll make it synonymous with whore, when in actuality it's totally two different things. And one of my things is to say that a lot of these women would be better off being concubines as opposed to whores, because instead of them running the streets sleeping with a bunch of men, they should be with one man, right? But they don't want to do that. Yeah, exactly. Because like I said, you probably never heard that before, right? So a lot of times what happens is these women, they get out here in these streets and they get their backs blown out by a bunch of different dudes. And then they're crazy because they don't have that guidance of that one man, instead of them all being under the tutelage of one man. And I'm not just talking about any type of man. I'm talking about a man who, obviously has this stuff together and he's able to guide those women. And a lot of these women, they actually need that. They need to be under the tutelage of that one man. And as a concubine, that would be a step up for a lot of these women, is for them to become concubines, because right now they're whores. And this is what a point I was going to make earlier, is that when you look at how the dating scene is going, right? A lot of these women are moving further and further toward the whore trick relationship. Just like when they're coming out talking about they got to get $200 for a date. All of this monetization, what they're saying, that's them basically blurring the lines between what was considered dating and outright tricking and whoring. There's no distinction no more. And what he said very true. But let me take this video down. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that clip without that broad. It makes it very true. Even concubine is more honorable than these demons today. Exactly. Because a concubine, like I said, intrinsically is not a bad thing. All a concubine is a woman who's not married to a man, but she's under the guidance and the tutelage of a particular man. And that man may have another woman. He might be married, but you just want to think about it in the form of her being more like a mistress, right? She's a kept woman. She's not out there throwing that thing in a circle to the men on the street. She's not community coochie. She's just a woman for that particular man. Even though she ain't his wife, he got her under his jurisdiction. So that means that no other man is dealing with her, right? So that's what a concubine actually is. So I just wanted to point that out because I'm glad you used the word concubine, because I've heard a lot of people use that term and they're using it within the context of a whore, which is not the same. And like I said before, it would be a step up for a lot of these women to be concubines as opposed to the whores that they're out here doing now. You said, bro, that's facts. I wanted to marry this foreign chick Islamically, and she wanted me to fly her out to Dubai to do ceremony. I'm like, what the fuck? Man, you know what's so crazy? Every time I hear Dubai now, it's like those women that put such a negative thing by them women flying out there. Every time I hear that word, it's just I think they're out there doing, going out there becoming the human toilets. You know what I'm saying? We all heard about it. Yeah, so there's definitely a whole trick dynamic. Yeah. So, but again, that would be a step up from what they're doing now. If they all decided, but at this point, to be honest, they're damaged goods. A lot of them, they're not even worthy of being a concubine now because they've been such knockdown and drag out whores that a concubine is kind of more of an honorable position for some of these women. Just like a lot of these women ain't really worthy of being wives, they're not really worthy of even being concubines. And I know that's harsh, but the facts are the facts, bro. It's as simple as that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and getting back to that point, that's kind of where they've all leaning to. It's more and more becoming, they just want money, right? For a lot of you guys that are out there, dating in the States or whoever, a lot of it just seems to me, and I'm looking at this from a distance, but it just seems to me like that goalpost is being moved closer and closer to where to me, bro, what it should be like right now is just name your price. If you're going to deal with them, if you want to deal with them, bro, it's just like, yo, what's your price list? How much for this? How much for that? Since it's all about money, since it's transactional, then goddamn it, let it be transactional. How much is it? He said, shit, that's the first time I heard that. Yeah, told you, bro. I don't be playing around over here. But the point is, though, look, if they're gonna make everything freaking transactional, then make it transactional. Say, okay, well, I want this, this, and this. What's that gonna run me? if it's gonna be like that, so we ain't gotta play no games. If that's what it is, right? I mean, but if you go to them like that, then all of a sudden they're gonna feel objectified. They're gonna feel like a piece of me. But I'm like, yo, that's what you're doing anyway. You talking about a guy got to take you on a $200 date? I mean, what? You got to work your way up to that, I would think. And that's what's so crazy to me. It's like, I remember back when I was, I think in my, maybe 20s, mid to late 20s. And it was bro, that was just a given that on the first date, you were going to a coffee shop or something like that. Women didn't even expect to get anything more than that. They were just happy that you would, take them on a date and pay for their coffee or something. That was all you had to do. And I might be out of the loop because, like I said, I haven't lived in the States in about 10 years, but it wasn't like this when I was out there, dating. You said Islamically, the dowry isn't even supposed to be expensive. These hoes want 50K dowries and they fly to Dubai to do a ceremony. Damn. Now, what type of women? So these are women that are of the Islamic faith, you're saying? Yeah, so that's crazy, man. So I know inflation's high, but I guess it's just across the board. All these women are pretty much, becoming more and more materialistic. And to be honest, it is a global thing, but depending on where you're at, you don't see it as much. It's obviously off the charts in the West. And the West is crazy. I don't know what the hell they doing there, bro. If I was living in the West, I would be in monk mode. I would be stacking my chips and be trying to get the fuck up out of there. I don't know. I'm telling you, bro. That's just me. There's no way in hell I would be sitting up there even dealing with that, bro. I wouldn't even be dating. I'd be on my grind. I'd be hustling, stacking my bread, and I'd be getting the hell up out of there. Straight up. I wouldn't even be tolerating that. I wouldn't even, like I said, but to be honest, I know a man got his needs, right? So, but again, bro, if they're gonna be on that trick shit, you might as well just go to them like that. Say, yo, how much? If it's gonna be like that, because you're gonna take if they want a $200 date, and as far as I know, that's kind of what you would pay for an escort, right? So what would they expect to do for you for that? I mean, if a man, let's say for example, you want to go out with a nice looking lady, right? And you got a woman out there who's just an average, let's say she's a 5 or 6, and she wants you to give her $200 for a date. Now, here's my thing. If you want to blow $200 on her, that's cool. But what's more bang for your buck? Giving a woman that's a 5 or 6 who's already been ran through as well, so she's not even bringing chastity to the table because she's already been ran through, like I said. So that's not even an advantage because there is a value to a fact that a woman, if she does not have a huge body count, we've done videos on that. But what if you do a apples to apples comparative analysis, right? And you got your $200 that you want to spend on a woman for the evening, wouldn't it be more economical for you to get an escort who's maybe a 8 or a 9 in looks, and you ain't even got to take her to dinner, and you just whatever, you knock it down or whatever, and then you're done. Whereas you're taking their gamble because this woman that wants you to pay $200 on a date, she probably ain't even gonna want to kiss you goodnight, but you done blew $200. And some of these bras, from what I've seen in certain videos guys have done, where these women are talking about $500. I'm like, yo. I mean, I'm just talking from because I'm a money guy, right? So I'm just looking at it from a monetary standpoint, irrespective to where you fall on the whole tricking thing, right? Whether you agree with it or not. I'm just looking at it from a monetary standpoint. If you got that kind of money that you want to spend on a date with a woman, what's the more economical decision? Since she's monetizing herself, since she's making herself a commodity, just like the woman of the night is doing, and like we pointed out earlier, there's no distinction anymore, because there used to be a distinction, right? Because the difference between a woman that you were dating and the woman of the night is that you wanted something more meaningful, right? With the woman that was that you were dating. So therefore, you both understood that there was a process involved. That oh yeah, we're gonna go here, we're gonna have coffee, we're gonna talk, we're gonna get to know each other, right? And so as a man, you were not even expecting to sleep with that woman on the first date, nor was she expecting to get $200 out of you on the first date. But what these women are doing is eliminating that process, and they're going straight to the $200. So as a man, your comeback for that is to say, okay, since we're going to jump past all of the get to know you stage and we're just going to go into the money, then guess what? Why don't we just cut to the chase and say, okay, here's $200, for that thing. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And if you ain't with it, then I might as well just go get an escort. Because if I'm going to shell out $200, I mean, I know what that could get me in other places, right? Just from an economic standpoint. But if you're trying to get something meaningful, then what you're going to do is want to, just get to know her over time. You're not expecting to shell out that kind of money on a first date. You might eventually do it, but that comes later after you done, got to know her. Like I said, you may take her to coffee and then you talk. And the thing that's so crazy about what these women say, some of the things that I've heard was, oh, well, if he can't take you to dinner and spend that on a first date, then he ain't worthy or something like this. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Here's the thing, though. As the man, I'm going to determine whether or not you're worthy. And what these dumb broads don't understand is that if I take you to coffee, and this is just me, if I take you to coffee and we hit it off real nice, guess what? I might take you to dinner the same night. See, they don't think about that. I might offer you to go to dinner the same night. And depending on you know, how well things go, I may wind up spending that anyway. But the first thing I had to determine was if you were that type of woman to begin with. And how did I determine that? By taking you to coffee or taking you to a walk or something like that. Initially, I'm not jumping the gun because I don't know if I'm even going to like you. So why would I invest in you like that? You know, if in fact we're just getting to know each other. So these bras are so stupid that they don't even realize that they could even still get that a decent date that same day if they pass the first part, which is the get to know you stage. And if you guys hit it off, you may invite her to dinner that same day or the next day or whenever. But they're so hungry, and they're these food whores, and they're just trying to get free meals off of dudes or whatever. And they're not even just trying to get free meals; they're trying to get luxury accommodations, right? I once made a comment on Obsidian, and people were laughing. If you know about the ratings for restaurants, right? They call them like the Michelin 3 and all of that. That's those are like top ratings for restaurants, right? Very nice restaurants. I said that women these days are built like the Michelin man, but they want Michelin restaurants, right? So, and if you know the Michelin man, he's like very fat, right? And all these rolls and stuff. So it's just ironic that they're shaped like the Michelin man while wanting Michelin accommodations with these restaurants, and it's ridiculous. But again, when it boils down to it, if they're just going to turn this into a monetary thing, then damn it, just make it a monetary thing. Just say, okay, here's the price list. What's the guy going to get? He's going to get this, this, and this for this amount of money, and call it a day. Because that's essentially what you're doing anyway. You're basically commodifying yourself. But yeah, he said, Israel Young Lion says, facts. I'm selling all my books to get the fuck out of the States. I can't take this place anymore. Bro, I hear you, man. I hear you. And again, I'm going to start dropping more jewels on that as far as you bros who are, trying to get it done. And I'm going to start sharing a little bit more tidbits on that, because I kind of want you guys to learn that as well, and to ultimately win, right? I want you guys to experience the life that you should, because a lot of you guys are putting up with stuff that you ain't really got, you shouldn't have to deal with, bro. For real. I'm telling you right now, as somebody who's already take it from your big bro, I've been there, done that. I know what it's like on the other side, and it ain't no comparison, bro. And I'm only doing this, like I do a lot of this stuff to try to just give back, because like I said, I've I've been going a long time. I don't even mess around with what's going on in the West, but that's why I try to just contribute where I can, and just kind of drop the little knowledge that I've acquired over these years as an elder guy, and that's the reason why I'm doing this. But to be honest, you're on the right track as far as just saying, you know what, it's just time to get up out of there. But yeah, let me talk about this woman again. Let me play this video, and then I'm gonna get into it. Okay, so as you notice, and this is the reason why I wanted you guys to see that caption, she's essentially saying that when he literally does not care about you at all, but he's a tall white boy with brown hair. Okay, now let's think about that for a moment. So she got this goofy look on her face, just getting wet in the pants for a guy who, by her own admission, doesn't care about him, but all he's a tall white boy with brown hair. Okay, so if that ain't another form of slave, where he said moist, yeah, she getting all moist down there, right? At the thought of a guy who doesn't care about her at all. So I want you to pay attention to that. She said not only does he not care, he said literally does not care about you at all. So that's part of the arousal. They like the idea that there's a guy, a white guy, no less, who don't give a damn about them, who don't care about them at all, or at least this particular broad, and she kind of is a stand-in for a lot of these other women because we've seen this type of mentality over and over again. But he's a tall white boy with brown hair. So my question is this: if this is the standard that some of these women are having for themselves, is it a surprise that we will see them degrading themselves and allowing themselves to get their bodies marked up with a bunch of racial epithets, being on the gagger sites? That's the mentality right there, bro. There it go in plain sight. That's the caption. That's the mentality that would lead to that race play. That's the mentality that will lead to a Candace Owens who will sit up here, degrade her own race by ignoring all of the historic injustices that have happened and condemning Black people the way she does, while at the same time showing more sympathy for a group of people such as the Palestinians who she doesn't have any type of real connection to, who they wouldn't even piss on her if she was on fire, but she got all this sympathy for them to the point where she lost her freaking job. I mean, it comes from somewhere. And this woman right here, she thinks it's cute to put this bullshit out here talking about a white boy who don't give a damn about her, but she got this, this look on her face. She's just so wet about this whole thing. That, to me, is the ultimate example of a slave mentality. And this is what you have going on, unfortunately, too much in the community. And that's why you have these women walking around looking the way they're looking, for all the accusations that they have when they say that Black men have self-hate. What's more self-hating than this mentality? A dude who don't give a damn about you at all, and you're sitting up here looking like this over that just because he's tall and got some brown hair and he's a white boy. I mean, just think about that for a moment. For even if she's just playing around, which I believe she actually feels this way, because even if she's just doing this as a gag, no pun intended, because I'm sure she's one of those gaggers too. Why would you even play like that? And then they wonder why they're in the situation that they're in. And again, I have not seen the equivalent of a Black man doing this, where he has made a video with this goofy look on his face talking about a white woman who don't give a damn about him just because she's a blonde. I have you seen something like that? I don't know. Like I said, I don't claim to be all on these TikTok streets like that. I got kicked off of TikTok, so I'm not over there. I just see videos that we get like from YouTube or whatever that people post from TikTok. But I'm just wondering, have any of you guys seen any Black men do something like this? I'm just wondering. I don't know. Maybe there is a trend out there of on TikTok where Black men are doing this. I'm not aware of it, but I don't know. You guys are younger than me. Maybe you're more in the loop than I am, but I'm not aware of this. So if you could share that with me, where you say that TikTok is extremely LGBT, yeah. But you know what I heard, D? I heard that it's primarily women though, because YouTube is actually more man-centered, believe it or not. I think the stat was that 60% of YouTubers are male versus, and I think it's the inverse for TikTok. I think 60 or 70% of the TikTokers are female, which would explain why you got all this goofy shit like this going on over there. But I don't think I've seen it on YouTube, and again, I'm not on TikTok really, other than we're getting clips like this, so I don't know. But this to me speaks volumes. As short as this little clip is, it's like so telling in terms of the mentality of a lot of these women these days. And as it relates to our larger discussion about Candace Owens, if you listen to her rhetoric, even though she's speaking about masculinity, just like I played that clip earlier, she's talking very positive about the role of men and so forth. You know what I believe though? I believe from Candace Owens' perspective, when she's speaking on masculinity, she's talking about white male masculinity. I don't think in her mind that she's equating black men with masculinity the way she's doing it with white men, because actually she's with a white man, and I think that her subservience is not to black men a masculinity, but to white men. Yeah. So I think D, you would agree with that, right? Because that's why she's speaking out the way she has been, and the reason why she's taking the stances that she has. Because the reason why I say that is because just like if you look at her historic beliefs on slavery, right, which was, obviously, black men were affected negatively by that, and she yeah, who's that in the house? Yeah, shout out to King Seen Red. I think it's your first time over here. Shout out to you, bro. He says, crazy thing, the older women in a black family will be pissed if a black man brings home a white woman, but will not call out black daughters that try to look like white women. Good point, bro. Very good point. That is exactly the point that is showing the hypocrisy. He said you can't bring uh, a white woman home, but you can bring home a pseudo white woman in the form of, the blonde wigs and so forth. So yeah, that's a very good point. And again, all it does is speak to this hypocrisy. And like the point I was making with Candace Owens, since we're on the subject of hypocrisy once again, is that she pretty much is taking the position that she's taking because she is a servant of the white male version of patriarchy. Because if she was more in line with the black male version of it, then she would side historically with when black men did rule, and how through a process power was lost. It didn't happen overnight. It was a large, because there was a point in which black men ruled the world. There was, obviously we should be familiar with what happened with in Europe with the Moors. And it wasn't just the Moors that were ruling in Spain from 711 to 1492. There was also, and shout out to Israel Young Lion, there was also black Israelites as well during that time, but they don't talk about that. But they are ruling side by side in Spain and Portugal, in the Iberian Peninsula, in all of North Africa. And we always know about the traditional, ancient Kemet and Nubia and all that. All these were black male dominated societies, right? So ultimately, over time, when black men lost dominance, and then the European took over, there was a lot of devastating things that happened. But if you look at Candace's position, just like we played earlier, what she was saying, she was talking about, how somehow it was a good thing that happened, essentially to black men losing power. So she don't have sympathy for that. But if anybody talks against the white male patriarchy, then she's on her hands and knees defending it. So based on my point, when she's defending the patriarchy and when she's talking up about masculinity, she's talking exclusively about white male masculinity. That's what she is defending. So once again, tying it into that race play bed wench mentality, like this woman on the screen, she has that same mentality. It's just a more clean up version. She wear her little suit jacket and her little pantsuit or whatever, and she's, she ain't out here as graphic with it, but it's the same thing, right? So that's pretty much my take on Candace Owens. She's not somebody that, as I mentioned, that I follow very closely, but my assessment of her is predicated on that archetype, which is these women that we see running around, doing this type of stuff that we pointed out earlier, when it comes to them basically showing out for their white massa. And once again, it's not for us to be hating or, I say, look, if that's what you're into, that's fine, but at least be consistent with it. And don't be trying to circle back and make it seem like you're doing all of this because, black men did this or did that. And that's the reason why I speak up the way I do, is because with the propaganda, what they always try to do is shoehorn black men into the conversation and try to make it seem as though they're doing this stuff because of something that a black man did. I'm like, yo, if you like getting your back blown out by these type of guys and getting smutted out and spit on and all this type of wild, crazy stuff that they be doing, look, that's between you and your master. Just keep us up out of it. You know what I mean? So that would be that's how I see it. And when it comes to Miss Candace over here, it's like they say, she's a tool, and the tools always get broken. So I think it was pretty much it was very easy to see this coming. And, she pretty much did it to herself because she was not consistent with her message. And it's like Dee pointed out earlier, that goes into that female mentality where she let her emotions get ahead of herself. And she should have just had enough sense to know that eventually, they was gonna, come for her, because you can't bite the hand that feeds you, because she chose that path. And it just comes down to being honest, yo. I mean, if you can't tell the whole truth, if you're with somebody, even if they're your boss or whatever, and you're in a position where you can't tell the truth, and you're a slave. If you can't live your truth and you can't live in integrity and honor, then that you're a slave. And that's why she said she was free. That's like I read the article earlier when she came out saying she's finally free. Well, free from what? You're free to do what? Because evidently you couldn't do it before, right? And what did Kinseen read? He said that let me take this down so I can read it. He said that skin, it covers a multitude of sins. Yep. Shout out to David Carroll. Yeah, but here's let me give you the full quote. He says that white skin covers a multitude of imperfections and sins. That's how he used to say it, bro. But yeah, David Carroll. But yeah, that pretty much is true. He said it covered a multitude of imperfections and sins. That white skin, yep. And that's the mentality with a lot of these women. And what's so crazy, bro? What's so crazy is how it's being PC, yeah. But what's so crazy is that some of these same women will be running around talking about the virtues of melanin, right? They can break it down. Oh, melanin is this. This is, all these benefits of melanin. And I saw this video. Actually, I saw a few videos where there was these quote pro-black women, and that's a whole nother video. I'm just gonna tickle the plate with this one, because we may have to do a whole nother show on this concept about the pro-black women. Because Candace, for all of her hypocrisy, I don't recall her ever coming out as a quote pro-black per se. I think at best she was maybe more liberal than she is now. But you have outright women who are pro-black with the kundalini energy and the shea butter and the blackity black talk, and those women are some of the ones that will come out with all of this stuff about melanin and this, that, and the third. But at the same time, them be the main women chasing behind the white boys. That's crazy to me. And that to me is a whole nother show. But we might have to get into that at some point. We've touched on it in the past, but I mean, I need to maybe dedicate a whole show to that, because to me, that is the ultimate form of hypocrisy. Because at that point, you even understand on a scientific level that melanin has a lot of benefits, in that the white skin is a result of the lack of melanin, and it's actually, when it comes to biology, something that's lacking. So for you to be that enamored, even though you know about the difference between being melanated and non-melanated, but you still are enamored with white skin because you've been propagandized, and you're bleaching your hair and you're doing all this dumb shit, even though you're claiming all this blackity black stuff. To me, that's wild. That's crazy. But that is precisely what a lot of these women are doing, and it's out of control. But anyway, fellas, man, this has been live, man. You guys have been great. I'm gonna wrap it up right here, because I think we pretty much done knocked this out the park. Your comments were on fire. I hope you got something out of what I shared in terms of just breaking down this and dissecting this Candace Owens chick. Because like I said, man, she's pretty much just like she's just a cleaned up version of the ghetto gagger, man. She's a cleaned up version of all these women running around here, being smutted out, for the white patriarchy, but at the same time, they want to act like they're speaking up for black people here and there. They want to kind of straddle the fence, but at the end of the day, the hypocrisy comes out when they get into a situation like what she did, because she's on record talking about how the oppression of what would be considered her own people is something that they shouldn't even worry about, and that somehow there was a benefit, just like the clip I played earlier. But at the same time, she's got herself fired because she can't keep that same energy for a group of people who, like I said, won't even spit or piss on her if she was on fire. They don't give a goddamn about her, but she's risking her damn job, and all she had to do was keep her fucking mouth shut and keep getting them checks, and then she would still have a job. But she can't, because of her emotionalism and how she really feels, because at heart she's still a damn liberal. She's just tucking her liberalism when it comes to black issues, and that's the reason why this hypocrisy came out. But if she was really true to the game, if she was standing on business for real, then she would have been having that same energy, because she's ultra conservative when it comes to black people. But when it comes to them Palestinians, then she's a liberal again. And that's why she's in that damn situation. So that's pretty much it, bros. I think we pretty much done knocked this out the park. Ain't nothing else to say. It is what it is, and we see why she got the boot. And she went from being a bootlicker to getting her butt kicked with a boot. And that's what a lot of these women gonna end up with. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these women who are behind the scenes doing all this stuff, they all got their wake-up calls coming, because we can also do another series on how these women, these swirlers or whoever, they always wind up getting kicked to the curb. And I actually confronted Crystal and Carrison, Miss Pink Pill, on Obsidian one time, and I put her on her heels because she was pretty much responsible for a lot of that stuff. Talking about the pink pill and swirling and all that. And I had a chance to confront her, and it was a very big confrontation. A lot of people in the comment section was loving it, the way I was giving her the business. And I think Obsidian, I don't know if he's going to repost that, but I'm gonna see if I can get that clip, and I'm gonna try to play it, like if I ever do that show about another, if we're gonna deal with these swirlers, because I actually confronted the actual author of a lot of this stuff, Crystal and Carrison. I'm sure some of you know who she is, but yeah, she was on Obsidian's before, and I called in and I kind of gave her the business, confronting her on some of her positions in the past. But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for showing out and showing up. Shout out to everybody that's watching right now, even though you're just, not commenting. I appreciate you for being in the building right now. Definitely appreciate my bros for showing up. I see a couple of new faces. Like I said, shout out to you. Ken Seeing Red. Hope to see you back here as well. He said, what'd you say? Yes, but she will make her rounds on the usual suspects black male shows to try to get in black men in good graces. Yeah, if you're talking about Crystalline, yeah, that's pretty much what she was doing, and that's why she was on Obsidian. Are you talking about her, or are you talking about Candace? Because you could be talking about either one of them, to be honest. So which one are you talking about? I'll let you let me know which one you're referring to. But yeah, that could kind of go for either one. Because I'm thinking you're probably going to see Candace doing the same thing, because that's what Pink Pill did. Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about Candace. Yeah, I agree with that. But also, that's what I noticed that a lot of those chicks do. They'll be talking about swirling and all this type of stuff, but then you look up, they find themselves in the black male spaces. So it's kind of funny how that all works out, right? But anyway, yeah. But our job is, if they show up, give them that work. And some guys, they believe in the no Keisha zones and so forth, and shout out to them. I can see a need for that, but I'm like this. I say, if they want to show up, then they can show up, and we just have to give them that work. I prefer it that way, because we ain't got to deal with them, we ain't got to date them or nothing. But if they want to come through and you know, I like using them as those examples, right? But I do think that there should be spaces where there's only men. So I don't in principle disagree with that. I just think that that doesn't apply to all of us. So for the guys who do have the no Keisha zones, as they call it, that's cool. I rock with that. But at the same time, um, I think there should be some rules of engagement as well, where we should be able to, you know, give them that business if they so choose. You said Breakfast Club and Joe, but yeah, those guys, you know, I don't really watch them, but you know, that's where those are like safe spaces for them. Because I don't think they're gonna go over to the deep end of the pool, like somewhere over here or something like that, because they know they're gonna get that work. I had a commenter on one of my videos, and they left me a long book. I think it was a guy, but it may have been a woman, you know, because pretending to be a guy. But he or she said a bunch of stuff, and I invited him to come in because this show could have went different. Um, because if they would have called in, because they were talking about accountability, and they said, "Oh, well, you guys are always talking about the women. Why there's no accountability for the men?" I said, "Well, first of all, you ain't familiar with my channel because you know we have a series that we talk about men's issues as well, right? But we gonna give these women that work because they've had about 40 years of freedom to say what they wanted to do about the men. But the moment we get these little podcasts, then you all want to come over here talking crazy, but you had about 40 years to say whatever the hell you wanted to say. So no, yeah, we're going to put more of the emphasis on the women at this point because, you know, we just now have platforms where we can do this. Whereas you had Oprah and all these other major publications that were airing your grievances, and we didn't have that. So that was, you know, very interesting. But anyway, yeah, he said, great podcast, bro. Keep it up. Keep it coming. Yeah, bro. Yeah, we do it every Saturday, 10 p.m. Central Time. So yeah, you're welcome to come in. Everybody, welcome to come back. We're gonna keep bringing you that fire, keep bringing you that heat, the way we do it up over here. So yeah, it's been live. I really appreciated you guys for showing up, and participating. And yeah, well, yeah, we're definitely gonna keep it going. And yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up right here. But I'm gonna end the show the way I always do, and that is, we're not just a podcast, we're a squadcast. There's a very big difference. Mission complete, over and out. Oh, and by the way, before I wrap up, um, yeah, we're gonna start putting more information out about, yeah, peace to you too, bro. We're gonna start putting more information out about some of the other stuff we're doing, because a lot of times I keep forgetting to put the crawls at the bottom, because we do offer some other things for you guys as well, because I, you know, like I said, I'm ending the show now, so I'm not gonna go into it, but I always kind of forget to put my links at the bottom for some reason, because like I said, I just get so caught up in you know, the stuff that we're doing for the show. But I wanted to make it clear to you guys that we aren't just talking over here. We do offer certain other things as well. You guys can reach out if you need counseling or things like that. So I am going to start, you know, putting the links in a little bit more. So yeah, but anyway, I just thought about that before I wrapped up. But anyway, once again, we ain't just a podcast. We're a squadcast. Very big difference. Mission complete.